Hi everyone, it's Miss Rossi. Today we are going to be drawing a flower filled with different Zentangle designs. What you will be needing today is your Zentangle paper from your art folder. This is just a square white piece of paper. If you don't have this in your folder, any other white paper will work. You can take off the label because we won't be needing that. You're also going to need a pencil, an eraser, and something to trace with. We're going to use some watercolors next week when we color this in. So you're going to want to trace with something that is permanent. I'm going to use a Sharpie, but any other kind of permanent marker, pen, or colored pencil will work just fine. So we are going to draw a flower today that is filled with all different kinds of designs and patterns. To do that, we are going to start by drawing our flower, and then we will split it into some smaller sections to add designs later on. To start with my flower, we're going to do a zoomed in composition, meaning it is going to be an up-close drawing of our flower. I am going to start by creating a semicircle by doing a big curve from almost like the halfway point of one side of my paper up to the halfway point of the other side. So now we have almost like a quarter of a circle here in the bottom corner. Now you can pick what corner you want to put your flower in. It's going to be coming out from that corner, so you can decide whatever corner you want to draw yours in and place your semicircle there. The next thing I'm going to do is add some petals to my flower. You can decide if you want your petals to be round at the top or if you want them to be pointy. It is up to you. I'm going to start by drawing one along this side. It's going to be, I think, round. So I'm just doing a big curved line coming out from my semicircle up towards the edge of my page. I'm going to do that same thing on this side to draw another petal, and then I should be able to fit a few more in the center. I am going to let my petals touch on the side so then I can fit a few more as I am drawing them. So they are going to overlap just a little bit. And I think I could fit maybe like 2 more here. So you can see how many petals you can fit on your flower. You can make them big, you can make them skinny, you can make them pointy on the end or round. I'm just going to fix that so those two line up a little bit better, and then I can erase those lines that overlap. So I was able to fit 3 full petals and 2 half petals on my paper. You might have been able to fit more if you drew them smaller. Maybe you were only able to fit a few if you drew them bigger, but whatever you're able to fit on your paper is fine. Now I'm going to split up my center of my flower into some smaller sections since we are going to be filling this with all different Zentangle designs. So I'm just going to make 2 more curved lines connecting the edges of my page to separate that big circle into 3 smaller sections. Now that I have my flower drawn, it's time to add our designs. So I'm going to put a different design in each one of my petals and in each one of these sections. You can create whatever kinds of patterns or designs you would like to fill in your flower using any kinds of repeating lines or shapes. I do have an extra video on Canvas that shows all different designs you can follow along with to draw different Zentangle patterns if you would like, or you can come up with your own. It is up to you. When we're creating our patterns, we just want to make sure that there is enough going on inside each section that we do not have too much white space. We're not going to be coloring these in. You can trace them, and as you're tracing, color in certain sections, but they are going to stay black and white. The only thing that is going to have color on our page today is going to be the background, just to show contrast. So I'm starting with some stripes inside this section, and I did some curved stripes, and now I'm just going to go in with some shorter lines to split it up even more to make my pattern more interesting. There we go. So I'm just going to go in with my pencil and fill in each petal of my flower with a different design, and these last 2 sections of my flower with different designs. now that I have all of my patterns and designs drawn in each section of my flower, I use different repeating lines and shapes to create all of my different designs. I'm going to use my Sharpie and I'm just going to trace around the outside of my flower and fill in these little triangle spaces that I have left in between the petals. So with your permanent marker, pen, or colored pencil, you could just trace around the outside of your flower and fill in those triangular sections. I know it takes a long time to create all of your different designs. Hopefully you were able to use a lot of different repeating lines and shapes to make your designs more complex and interesting. So next week, we are going to trace over our designs and color in the background. So once I'm done tracing my flower, I'm going to put my project back in my art folder so I can save it for next time. I think it's going to be a little too much to trace over all of those designs that we made today, and we'll save it for next time. So I'm just tracing around the outside of my petals, these inside sections of my flower, and I am going to just color in these little triangle sections that I have here, because once I start to color in my background next week, my paintbrush is not going to be able to fit in these smaller sections that I have between my petals. So I can just carefully fill those in with my marker. There we go. So I'm going to leave my project the way that it is. Next week, we're going to trace inside our flower to trace over our patterns, and then we are going to end up coloring in the background using a specific color family. Since we are going to finish our project next week, you do not need to hand anything in today. Just save your project in your art folder until then. Try your best to have fun and get creative, and I'll see you soon. Bye!